Mammary glands, the reason why we are called mammals. So when we talk about mammary glands, these are actually modified sweat glands. And in mammals, these sweat glands have been modified to provide nutrition for the newborn. So they provide milk, which is a nutritive substance, to newborns. So when we look at the development of mammary glands, it's very interesting because both males and females have mammary glands. So they're in both males and females, which means that males could actually lactate if they are given the proper hormone. And what is that hormone that causes lactation? It's easy to remember because it is called prolactin. So prolactin is produced and released by the anterior pituitary gland. So interestingly, prolactin is in preparation for lactating, that the breasts get large, and then the female becomes ready to lactate, to actually produce milk. And so if we look at these glands in the female, we can see they actually are a type of gland that is called alveolar. We know about alveoli because that is the structure of the respiratory membrane in the lungs, right? So we have these alveoli type glands, and these are cells that are going to produce the complex substance known as milk. Milk contains, if we look at what is found in milk, milk contains lactose. You might remember that that is a carbohydrate that is used for energy. It also has a protein, lots of proteins, but casein is the primary protein that is found in milk. Also, it has antibodies. And we learn about antibodies when we talk about the immune system. So this provides passive immunity to the newborn. It also has fat, and that fat tends to be saturated fat. So that provides energy and nutrition as well. So these cells produce it, and then it travels via a duct because it is an example of a, not an endocrine gland, but an exocrine gland. So it travels via a duct and it comes out the nipple. Now, there's actually a reflex that allows for the milk to be released from the glands. And this is what is sometimes referred to as the letdown reflex. So the letdown reflex is in response to suckling, and it has to do with oxytocin, which is a touch hormone. And so the baby suckles, and eventually you will let the milk go and come out the nipple. So generally the milk doesn't arise immediately, but sometimes you can get milk just by thinking about nursing. If you're a female and you're thinking about nursing, sometimes milk will come out because you have released your oxytocin, produced oxytocin, and it's caused the contraction of the vessels that allow for the movement of the milk out of the lactiferous ducts. So surrounding the nipple is an area called the areola. And the areola is that darkened part of the nipple area. And that actually has sebaceous glands associated with it. Sometimes you can see them. They're like little dimples on the skin sometimes. And those actually produce sebum, which, remember, in the function of the skin, actually helps to lubricate the skin and prevent it from drying out and cracking. So one of the problems that females oftentimes have with lactating and with nursing is that their nipples will dry out and perhaps even bleed, and then breastfeeding can be very, very painful. You'll also notice that there is fat tissue that surrounds, right, the ducts. And then there's muscle, your pectoralis muscles are underneath. So what keeps the breasts up and from as we age, it starts to move down, right? Are suspensory ligaments. And I thought that they had right here. Oh, here we go. So this is the suspensory ligament, this yellow stuff right here. And so interestingly, that ligament starts to stretch out, and that can cause the breast to sag as individuals begin to age. So one of the things that is a problem in our society today is that oftentimes, because the breast tissue responds to estrogen, it causes cells to divide. And anytime you have regular cell division, that can sometimes lead to problems with cancer, because cells can divide and they can mutate, and then you get a mutation, and that mutation becomes cancerous. And so a mammogram is something that looks for particular places in the breast tissue where there has been a change. And so they recommend that females check their breasts for any changes in the breast tissue, any lumps, any dimples. And then at a certain age, it is recommended that you get mammograms on a regular basis so that you can check for changes. And there is a little bit of controversy about how frequently mammograms should be taken. There's a little bit of controversy over whether or not all breast cancer possibilities should actually be biopsied. And so there's some new research that says that maybe we are screening too frequently and also being too aggressive with our treatment. But there are some cases of breast cancer that are extremely rapid, right? So they can extremely reproduce and unspecialize and then metastasize and get out in the body. So that is why the doctors are particularly concerned about abnormalities in the breast tissue.